What's up and welcome back to another video. Today we're working on this 2009 Nissan Murano. It has a power steering leak. I've already drove out to this car and diagnosed the problem. It's leaking from the high pressure steering hose. So stay tuned, I'm going to show you how I discovered this leak and then we're going to show you how to repair it. So let's go. Alright, so before we jack the vehicle up, I am going to release this 10mm bolt back here. So this is looking behind the intake manifold, and you can see the heat sleeve on the hose right there. You also can see a little bracket. Let me see if I can get my finger back there. Right here. And I believe that is a 10mm bolt holding that on. So that's going to be the first thing we get off, and then we're going to go underneath the vehicle and disconnect the hoses on the other ends. So let's go ahead and do that. From this bracket, and I'm using a long swivel ratchet wrench, so it reaches it pretty well, and I'm just going to guide it on with my finger. And I'm wondering if it is a 10mm. Feels like it. It might not be a 10mm, guys. Let me see. Or maybe the bracket's just in the way of me getting to the bolt. Let's see if I can get a socket on there. I know you can't see, but neither can I, so. Okay, so I think I was on the bolt, but the bolt was loose. So when I was turning it at it, I couldn't tell. So it is a 10mm. Mine's loose already, so I don't have to. I'm just hand turning it off, so it's probably loose from, maybe it vibrated loose or something over time. Oop, there it went. Okay, so what I'm trying to see is, I feel like something's still holding it. Let's see if I can get my mirror back there. Okay, so there's another bolt. I don't know if you could see it, but there's another bolt right there. It looks like a 12 or maybe 13. Let me see. Okay, mine was loose again, so just twisting off by hand. So as soon as I get it out, I'll tell you what size it is. I was going for a 13. It is a 13. So removed a big 13mm bolt. Don't worry about removing a 10mm, because once you do that, the whole thing's going to come off a lot easier. So I believe we have our hose free up top. So now we're going to jack up the vehicle and slide underneath and disconnect it from the steering rack and from the back of the pump. So let's do that. Alright, so we're under the vehicle and you can see we have a clear shot at our hose now. You can see that fluid leaking out right there, coming through that heat shield. I might start by disconnecting it from the back of the pump, and we can unplug our pressure sensor there, and then we're already disconnected up top. And if you follow the hose down, it has this funny loop here, and then connects right here. This bolt here. Disconnect the line here. And this is the bolt that connects it to the back of the power steering pump. And it's definitely not going to be a 14. I forgot that's a much bigger bolt. I think it's actually like a 22 or something. So unplug this pressure sensor here. And we're going to unclip it off of our line. Try to get this wire harness out of the way. Alright, let me see if I got a socket for that, or if not, I know I have a wrench, so I'll be back.
2,000 years later.
Okay, I'm back. So I brought a 22 and a 24 because when I was looking at it, I'm like, I bet it's a 24, not a 22. So let's reach up there. And it's a 24, so. Let me get a ratchet, half-inch ratchet, because this is a half-inch socket. Alright, so I'm going to try to get from under here, but if you can't get from under here, then you can go through the wheel well too. I think we can reach on through here. We can. Oops, I dropped you. Hang on. So I'm trying to find a place to put you so we can work and you can watch at the same time. So I'm going to try to hold the camera and do this. But I'm actually reaching through the fender here. Well, there's no fender liner there, but it makes it even easier. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna have to put the camera down for a second. Let me crack this loose, I'll be back. I'm gonna put you down for a second, crack this loose, and I'll be right back. I got it cracked loose. Let that drain into my drain bucket that I have down here that you can't see. That way it don't make a mess all over my driveway. I'll just unscrew this the rest of the way as it drips down my arm. Oh yeah, I love fluid down the arm. Nothing like that. As long as it don't go in the armpit, you know. Okay, going in the armpit. Okay, it's getting everywhere. Alright, so just a warning, you will get messy with this. Okay, that's the drain pan, that's loose. Now we can just, there we go. Now we do the same thing on this side. See, drain pan. Oh man, it went in the rim. Hang on, let me deal with that. Just a fair warning, expect it to drip down the lower control arm and onto the rim too. I did not expect that, but so now I got a mess to clean up, but we'll get that later. Alright, so round two. We are going to go out and disconnect our line here now. Maybe a 14, I don't know, let's find out. And it is a 14 millimeter, so we're going to take our 3/8 drive short stubby socket with a little extension here, and that's what we're going to use to take this one off. And it's probably going to want to drip all over me. Yep, there it goes. So hang on. Oh yeah, we are going to make a mess, guys. We already made a mess. Alright, so I got that bolt out holding that in. So we got that line loose. We have two 10mm bolts right there on that bracket. We just got to take that off, and then we should be able to remove this entire hose out of here. Oh, the flashlight died. Awesome. Sorry if it's dark, guys, my light died. But it's just two 10mm bolts on this bracket. You'll see it when you do it, but you get the idea. And you know what? I'm wondering if you just gotta remove that 10mm bolt. Hang on, let's see. See, this is why I'm doing it first, because it saves you the trouble of figuring it out for yourself. Yeah, I believe all you gotta do is remove this 10mm bolt up top, guys. So you may not need to remove that whole bracket. Oh, I dropped you. Get that 10mm out. Honestly, I don't know, but that didn't do anything. Back to these 10mm. It's like a mystery. Which bolts do you have? If I drop you one more time. Sorry, keep dropping you. Let's try it again. Alright, I went and got a flashlight. Back to what we were doing. We are going to take these 10mm out. I think we have to. I'm just taking all of this apart because it's all in the way. I might have to unclip that rubber hose from this bracket as well, which we'll do that next. And get a flathead screwdriver or something, or maybe we can just punch them out here. Alright, so now this hose, we should be able to just pull this hose out. Just don't let that bracket hit you in the face. Alright, I think something over on this side's still catching us. Hang on. No, it's just sitting on top of things. Alright, there's our hose. So what you want to do here is match up your new line with your old line, and just make sure that it's the exact same length, the exact same bends, and ours matches perfect. So what we're going to do now is we're going to swap over this bracket, and this pressure sensor. So let's do that. And if you got this old heat shield out the way, it's okay, because we have a new one, and we're just going to put our new bracket and rubber right over heat shield this time, just like that. And I think our leak was somewhere over here. Yeah, there it is. So you can see how it's soaked inside this sleeve here. So somewhere, this hose was definitely leaking somewhere in here. If we had pressure going through it, we'd probably find it. Basically, we're just gonna stick this one here. Two brackets are ready to go. Just gotta swap over this pressure sensor, and then we can reinstall it in the car. And it's gonna be a 1" and 1/16 socket. I'm using my 1/2 inch, because that's what I got. But there is a socket for this, I'm sure, that's meant to use so you don't damage this sensor. But my socket's deep enough where it doesn't hit it, and it works great. I'm gonna use my 1/2 inch impact gun to break it loose. This is overkill, but it will work. gave it a few bumps and it come right off. Just gonna reuse this O-ring, just lube it up. I'm gonna stick it right back in. And we're not gonna tighten it with the gun. I'm gonna tighten it, snug it by hand. What you do on the new line, it would probably work on the old line too. I'm gonna get our crescent wrench. Gonna use our crescent wrench to hold the line here while we tighten on it here. Alright, so that's snug nice and tight. So I'm gonna go ahead and reinstall this in the same order we took this out. But before I go off camera and do that, make sure that you're replacing all of your copper O-rings. These copper O-rings, they're crush seals and they're not reusable, so make sure you're putting the right size ones for this side and this side also, because this one's smaller than this one. And reinstall those crush seal rings with your new line. But other than that, everything is the reverse order of which took it out. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock that out and I will be back. Just using the universal power steering fluid for all manufacturers, and this will work just fine. I'm just going to work the steering wheel back and forth before we start it, just to try to help bleed some of the air out. Let's go check our fluid. Let it up a little bit. As soon as I start hearing that pump whining, or if you notice, see how the steering was kind of like vibrating, if you will, as I'm going back and forth, that's what we're trying to work out of the system right now. So we're just going to keep moving the steering wheel back and forth until it's nice and smooth and the fluid level is good and the power steering pump's not whining. See, it's nice and smooth now. Now I'm not talking about this whine when you put pressure on the steering wheel. That's normal. But if it's whining while you're turning the wheel like this, then you got too much air in the system. So just gonna continue this process until I'm satisfied with the way it feels. And I'm just back up underneath here, making sure our power steering line isn't leaking anymore. You see it's nice and dry right there. That's where it was leaking before. Pressure sensor's not leaking. Banjo fittings look good. My lines don't look like they're leaking from the washers. AC dripping over there. Check over here. Get to this line back here. Okay, now I don't see nothing leaking by the pump, so should be good. Alright guys, so that's gonna wrap this one up. Got the high washer, steering hose changed, no leaks, system's bled, steering's working great, feels good, sounds good. That's gonna do it. So until next time, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.